what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode from the Woods Collab Podcast. This is
Keisha Woods.
And I am Mike Woods here with the Woods Collab. So before we get started, we ask that you would like, subscribe, share this podcast, share us with your personal and your professional network. So today we got a good one for you. Today we're going to talk about a quote that my wife came up with, and it's one that's very, it's inspirational, and it causes a lot of self-reflection, especially when you look at others and you look at what other people have going on. And that quote is, your journey will never be about other people.
Never.
Your journey will never be about other people. So as we look in that space of personal and professional development, we may see others who are moving in certain areas. And sometimes we may be like, that'd be cool if I had those cards to play. Sometimes we may think that. Or maybe if I had this or I had that. Sometimes we may think that. But again, your journey will never be about other people. So Keisha, tell us about how that quote stirred something up in you and what it means to you.
Oh my gosh. I feel that a lot of times with the pressures and seeing what other people have to offer, especially in what we call, or what I like to call, the Instagram syndrome, where you see the best version of everyone else, right? You see that thing posted, you see that thing shared, you see that thing liked, and people get really excited about that. And sometimes that will make you self-reflect in a negative way and go to a negative headspace, where you start to think about, well, why aren't I doing that? Or why am I not making that much money? Or why am I not in that type of position or role? Or why did this person get promoted? And what I have found in my life and in my career and in my experience is that that's a huge distraction. You're taking your eyes off of what you're doing, you're taking your eyes off of your own path, your own journey, and you're putting it on someone else. And that can put you in such a foul headspace that is really, really hard to get out of. And it's going to spark a lot of times jealousy, resentment, not just resentment for that person, but resentment for yourself, because you're comparing yourself constantly. And competition is healthy, right? It's a natural thing. But the competition, your first competition needs to be yourself and your own race that you're looking to run. So if you think about it, if you're a racer, if you're a runner, and I'm not athletic at all, friends, but I would imagine if you are a runner and you're running, and if you're looking at the person next to you the whole time, instead of being focused on that finish line, you're going to run slower and you're not going to perform the same. Now, that doesn't mean you can't keep your eye on the side to kind of know where you are in your race, but that is your race to run. You are the one that has to perform to get to that finish line. So your journey will never be about other people. It's really about understanding that even though you may have that tap on your shoulder mentally that says, hey, oh, that person got the promotion. Oh, that person is making this amount of money. Oh, that person just bought this new house. It's that, okay, that's that person. Go person. Yes. So you have proven that it's possible. So let me see what I need to do in order to run my own race. So I say it all the time because I'm human. There are circumstances and situations where I'm like, oh, but I've been trying so hard for the same thing. And it's like, nope, your journey will never be about other people. Another way to think about it is not leaving it up to for other people to paint your narrative. So I never like to give anyone so much control over my situation and my circumstance that they have more say about me and my thing and my future than I do. And so really just trying my best to control the narrative and remembering that I'm not going to leave it up to someone else to paint that picture. And I'm going to do whatever I can to bring my A game to every situation so they have no other choice but to bring me into different things. So you used a quote that you got from somebody that you respect and admire. And it's something to the effect of, don't leave the fight up to the judges. So can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, as far as telling your own story, is that don't allow someone else's perception, someone else's view dictate what happens for you. So you have to put in the work for yourself. So just the analogy, the sports analogy in boxing, let's say if a fight goes the distance, it goes all 12 rounds, it's up to the judges to make the decision on who won the fight. But if you go in and you KO or you TKO your opponent, you're not leaving it up to judges. You put that thing in your own hands. So do what you have to do in order to control that outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the piece about others, one thing we don't know is that we don't know what somebody else went through. So if somebody else got a deal, somebody else got a promotion, somebody else got a car, or somebody had some type of fitness results, we truly don't know what that person went through in order to get to that point.
And if we knew what they went through, would we go through it?
Exactly.
We might not. We might say, you know what? Oh my gosh, you had to beg, borrow, steal, cry, do a lot of things that maybe I wouldn't even be proud to do to get there. So that might not even be something that you would even want once you get there, or something that you want to have actually. So we were talking about this when we talked through things and topics before we recorded, of course, and we were talking through it, and sometimes things look shiny and bright, and when you get into those situations, you get into that job, you get into that thing, it's not what you envisioned it to be. So here you are coveting and like, oh, that looks like such the best thing ever and a great opportunity, but that person is struggling in that, right? It could be a job that makes a lot of money, but the hours they have to put in for that, the sacrifices that they put in, missing their family, traveling and things like that, that could be something that you're not willing to give. And so you're focused on what they have and not focused on what you need for yourself. And going back to that quote, your journey will never be about other people. Yeah.
That's true. Very true. So with that, we want to leave you with some things that you can do. So first, just to go back, just to drive that point home, it's not about somebody else's race. This is about your race. So just like you said, when you're running that race, if you're looking left, looking right, looking behind,
you might trip.
You might trip, and you're pulling back on some of the momentum you can have in order for you to get to that finish line. So don't get caught up in what somebody else is doing. Be focused on yourself. So a couple of things we want to hit you all with as far as not being consumed with somebody else's journey. So the one is embrace yourself. Embrace yourself. So just like you may look at somebody else and somebody be like, you know what? Oh my goodness, that'll be so cool. That same person may be looking at you and like, wow, look at that piece you have. Look at what you have going on. Just looking at it from a totally different perspective. So make sure that you are embracing yourself. Another thing, and as you embrace yourself, you could be saying, all right, well, maybe I have some opportunities to get better, which very well could be the case. So for instance, in the fitness world, if I'm looking at somebody who has some great results, building muscle, maybe losing weight, maybe can run a lot farther, I might have to look at myself and say, well, am I putting in the work in order to do that? Maybe I need to go running more. Maybe I need to lift more. Maybe I need to put in the work. So another tip is to examine yourself. Examine who you are. Examine what you're about. Be honest with yourself. Sit down and write an assessment about yourself. Another thing is to get some insight from others. So if I say, using that fitness example, I might go to you and say, hey, you know what? I have these goals in the fitness space. What do you see for me? Do you see me putting in the work? Do you see me going at it? Do you see some techniques that I need to improve upon? What do you see that I could use that I might not be seeing for myself in order to get better?
Can I add one to that?
Please do.
So I think that a lot of times we're harder on ourselves too. So it might feel natural to ask for feedback in a constructive way, but I think it's also helpful to ask people for feedback regarding skills that you have.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times what I've found is that when you're naturally good at something, you just do it and you don't even realize that it's a skill.
Right.
Or not everybody can do it. You just do it because that's who you are, right? And so really just having that conversation with the people that you trust around you, your network. We did a series or an episode on network. To those trusted folks and saying, hey, what is the thing you can rely on me for? What is that thing that I'm really good at?
Yeah.
And put that in your basket or your packet as well as you're self-reflecting and pathing and carving your own journey.
That's good. That's good. So building on strengths, strengths that you know about, also strengths that others see that maybe you don't even see for yourself.
For sure.
I like that. Now, what about building on opportunities? What can we do to build on opportunities that we have?
Well, I mean, it's like you said, definitely making sure that you're surrounding yourselves with people who will be honest with you. But instead of comparing yourself to other people because other people have their own way, I think just learning from other people, not necessarily comparing, but learning. And so meeting with people, picking their brains, reading good self-help books. Sometimes it could be as simple as prayer, right? Praying, if that's something that you do, praying and finding out what your goals are and asking that God would lead you into different things. And so it could be a lot of different ways. What are some ways you think?
Yeah, it's like you said, it's being honest with yourself and really just stopping and think about what works for you. And once we get to that point where we're being honest with ourselves, it comes with holding ourselves accountable in order to take action. So with that fitness example, if I'm like, okay, I want to get faster with running a mile, if I'm not going out walking or jogging or sprinting, I'm likely not going to get faster. So I got to hold myself to a certain standard. I might say, okay, well, I'm going to start by going out and walking twice a week. I might say then
micro changes. They call them micro changes.
Yeah. And then maybe the next week I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna commit to going out 3 times. Then next week say, okay, I'm gonna go out 3 times, but out of those 3 times, I'm gonna incorporate some sprints and things of that nature. So making sure you're coming up with a plan and taking those action steps in order to get better. If it's in a professional space, it could be working on verbal communication. What are some things I'm going to do to work on verbal communication? And you say, okay, well, maybe I'm not in a position that has a lot of verbal communication opportunities. What you can do there, you can start making those opportunities, creating those opportunities, pulling some people you trust aside and say, hey, team, this is something I'm working on for my personal and professional development. Do you mind if I present this thing to you? And just finding those ways that you can leverage in order for you to get better, not necessarily getting caught up on what somebody else is doing.
And the last thing I'll add to that is a lot of times we are self-aware enough to know what's holding us back. It could be something that people have been telling us for years, right? And we haven't had the time or the space to really reflect on it and do something about it. And so whatever that thing that's holding you back, that's slowing you down, where you're losing the momentum in your own race, really understanding what that thing is and coming up with those strategies to move things forward. So it's probably that thing that you're thinking about right now when you're listening to us share here, that you've gotten feedback around in the past. And so I would definitely say this is the time to put that energy into that instead of the energy into what everybody else got going on.
That's true. And give us the quote again?
Your journey will never be about other people.
Your journey will never be about other people. So again, embrace yourself. Examine who you are, get some insight from others about how you present yourself, build upon those strengths, start working on those opportunities, and again, know that your journey will never be about other people.
I got one other little thing to slide in there. So in addition to that, I think that it's when you have a good quote or if you have a good scripture or a good saying, it's a good thing to reflect on that thing and catch it, right? Nip it in the bud, if you will. And so if you're finding yourself thinking about, oh my gosh, why did this person get put on this project? I wanted to be put on this project. My journey will never be about other people. Keep it moving, right? Or, oh my gosh, this person doesn't like me at work. And so they're going to block me from being able to move forward. My journey will never be about other people.
It's true.
You say it to me sometimes where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why did this thing not happen for me? And could it be because of these external factors? And you pull me back all the time. So he likes to use my quotes against me, is what I'm saying. But it is that wake up call. And so if you don't remember to remind yourself of it, get people in your circle who will remind you of those things so that you can always stay where you need to stay. So you can keep your mind where you need to get it and have it on that finish line.
That's a fact. Your journey will never be about other people.
Okay. All right, so he's pointing at me. So I guess it's time for me to wrap us up today. So thank you so much for tuning in. We thought it'd be cool to give you some quick hits and quick tips today. That was a mouthful. So yeah, that's where we're gonna end things. We do ask that you like, comment, and subscribe so that we can hear from you, get your feedback. You all have been doing great at providing awesome feedback for us that helps us to get better. We truly appreciate it. Other than that, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your life, your journey, and everybody around you. Thank you.
Woods Collab Podcast, we out.